Hey guys, this is John. Welcome to the free video for Simpler Futures. So it's been interesting. I've been cautious on the S&Ps here simply because they've been choppy. And there's not really much to do, and I was looking frankly for a bigger potential pullback on the weekly chart, i.e., coming back to the mean. But it doesn't mean I'm short. I've just been sitting there to kind of waiting. So today the market's exploded higher. We bought the first tick hook to the downside after the release of the numbers. So the numbers came down. We've got the first kind of move down in the ticks. That's where we bought the S&Ps and caught like 4 or 5 points, and that was it. And that was good. So the question now is, what about all the rest of the markets and all the different asset classes? And we will dive into that in the premium video. In the meantime, I'm fine buying the dip until we get close to potentially retesting these highs here, which is around 23.95. Not a huge run from here, but still 15 points away. All right, have a good night. See you in the premium video. So one thing that's been popping up, and people always ask, and it's like, all right, so this kind of market, it's been different. How are you doing this year compared to last year? And this year it's actually been, it's been accelerating faster than last year. As of, the time that this copy was written, my account was up 98%. It's actually up higher than that after today. We had some good moves in Tesla and Momo. But what I found with this, and I'll show you something real quick, it's a cool little tool, is that while there's a couple of different ways to kind of accentuate a setup, but really it's like once you find the setup, it's what is the best option strategy for that stock, okay? Not the setup for that stock, okay? That's a little different, right? So let me show you an example. So check this out. So if I get a bullish signal on price line, okay, I could buy Delta 90 calls, buy Delta 60 calls, Delta 50 calls, Delta 40 calls, Delta 25 calls, and you can see that over time, none of those work, okay? The 25 calls, the money calls, lose the most amount. That's not a surprise. And then the 60s and the 90s, a little bit different there. So that's, okay, it's like, all right, so if I've got a bullish setup in Priceline, I shouldn't even buy calls. Whereas with some stocks like Tesla, actually buying calls does make sense. Now, with Priceline, going back and looking at those same setups with a different strategy, all right, you can see that instead of losing, whatever it was, you're making 139%. Okay, so on a one lot, this is based on one contract. 107% doing it this way, 107% doing it this way, 93% this way, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, I thought that was fascinating because what I did is just like, all right, on this stock, if I've got, bullish setups and I buy a call, it's like I could lose money even though the setup was right, okay? But then if I did this strategy, it would actually work perfect, as you can see. So anyway, that's the deal. I'm going to do this webinar. I'll show you guys my statements and all that kind of stuff too. And you go to simplertrading.com/rapid. It's a free webinar. It's going to be coming up next Tuesday, March 21st at 7 o'clock Central. And just going to cover some kind of cool stuff that again, hey, here's a good setup. What's the best strategy for this particular stock? Okay, and for some, buying a call is fine, like a Tesla. Some, like Priceline, you could have a great setup and you still lose money on it because you're doing the wrong strategy for that stock. Okay, so isn't that crazy? Anyway, it'll be fun. That's it. So you guys have fun, and we'll see you on the webinar on Tuesday.